Bierman, Princeton Cable TV. Do you think there's any credibility that Israel will try to destroy Iranian nuclear missiles? No, excuse me. And two, if that was to happen, what would that do to the Middle East peace process?
Look, we all know as much as we all know, and what it is what we're reading in newspapers. There's a significant debate in Israel on the question of whether, in the absence of any other form of pressure or inducement to stop the Iranian program, whether military options should be exercised. And we've heard American policymakers make arguments on both sides of this equation as well. No one knows the answer except the decision makers who would have to make that decision. And I'm not even sure that they know the answer yet. We are in a period of very intense chess that's being played out on this international strategic board. Combination of holding out the prospect of some diplomatic engagement, which has not yet proved successful, trying to make the sanctions bite so that the Iranians have a reason to try to get out from under some problems. Perhaps even offering some inducements should they decide to suspend the program. But there's no simple answer to that question. Certainly there's a connection between what happens in the Gulf and what happens in the Levant. So both people in the Gulf and in the Levant are watching carefully to see how this unfolds.
The problem is that the Persians invented the game of chess. They have arguably played the game, at least up until the last several weeks, more effectively than we may have. And while, as Ambassador Kurtzer rightfully points out, we all read what the discussion is in Israel, but if you boil down the Israeli policy and the American policy with respect to Iran, although there's entirely different theater, the policy is actually quite comparable. And that is to support at this point the implementation of the severest economic and political sanctions possible in the hope, not the expectation, but in the hope that such a scenario will provide incentive for rational and saner minds in Iran, if they exist, to take different decisions that will enable meaningful negotiations to thwart the ultimate realization of their nuclear weapon program. At the same time, both the President of the United States and the Prime Minister of Israel have allowed military options to remain on the table. Now, again, the theater has been different, but the policy is actually the same, and you could argue, not irrationally, that the Israelis have a role to play here. We may not always agree with it, but the Israelis have a role to play, and the United States has a role to play, and they're different. And the Israelis may perceive that, given their vulnerability, that their role is to provide the energy when the United States and our European allies, from the Israeli perspective, may be slowing down a bit, and that also, to a degree, gives the United States the ability to argue to our European friends and others that if they don't take certain steps, that in effect they will be encouraging the result that they fear the most, which is an Israeli strike. So I think you have to read beneath the second, third, and fourth layers.
Thank you.